Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Movie Magic Show for Wednesday, the 16th of March, 2022. I am one of your hosts, Shane Bailey, joined by my wickedly talented cast. To my right, he loves his VR and shaking his hips like Shakira. Please welcome the era of Jason Mira. And to his right, it's the dulcet tones in your headphones, here to engineer a sincere atmosphere, Terry Fear.
Dude.
And to his right, it's the film filleting, TV show hating, thought elaborating Mr. Movies, Ben Stapleton.
Hi, Shane.
Hi, Ben. What's good? Who died? Jeez.
Every second away from Elden Ring is a second wasted.
Oh no! look at
that
Ben
grind set.
salivating over a video game.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. There's like no story. It's the best.
And there's very few people.
No subscription to Vati Vidya for you.
How far are you in, Ben? What level? How many hours? Tell me.
73 hours.
Oh wow,
73 hours.
Yeah, and
Wow.
I don't know. I think I'm level 80 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel near the end? What's going on?
I haven't even gotten close. I've killed 2 of the great
the shard bearers.
bad guys.
Yeah.
Out of 4 or maybe 5, and then there's New Game Plus after that, and
Right.
yeah.
I've booted up once so far. I did the tutorial. I got out of the main, I suppose, into the main area, like the map's open. I went over a hill, and there was a giant guy, like with gold armor on a horse. I was like, walk around.
Yeah, you did the right
Yes,
thing. I was
you
the
did
tree
the right
sentinel.
And then I found a cave, and then I just kept dying to these wolves.
I know the cave.
Yeah, I know that cave.
Yeah.
The wolves. Yeah, I remember the first time I fought those. There's a Beastman boss at the bottom of that cave, who I died to, I think, 2 times. I don't have anywhere near the number of hours Ben does. I got 36.3.
Right.
But I'm around level 60. I've done some hard catch up with some assistance with Ben, from Ben.
My advice, Shane, is get a notepad
Woggy!
and write stuff
Hey,
down, because they don't help you.
Yeah. I've heard that. I've heard it's one of those old school games where you need to take notes. Anyway.
You'll just hear about something once, and then that'll be it.
Dulcet Tones, how are you? Other than the Elden's Ring.
It's been a week. I'm like exhausted emotionally on a few different levels. But glad to have watched a really good movie this week in not Blade Runner, but the other one that we're reviewing tonight.
No worries.
Very happy to have seen Turning Red. Very delightful, fun time.
Nice.
And good to see your faces and hear your voices. Happy to be part of the program.
Amen. Jason Mira, how are you, sir?
I am also wrecked. I went to 3 weddings this weekend.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and MC'd at 1.
Oh, how'd it go? I forgot to ask.
I went well. People laughed at my jokes.
Good.
That's good.
And we played games as well with the bride and groom and some of the audience, so that went well too. It's funny, when I rocked up to the venue, I was in a suit and whatnot, and I walked up to the reception area, and the guy in the lobby was like, "Oh yeah, mate, you just need to sign in," because it was like an RSL club type thing. I was like, "Yeah, no worries," and the guy's like, "Oh, just get the check-in book, please," to the woman behind the counter, and she puts the book in front of me. I'm looking at it, I'm like, "What am I signing?" He goes, "You have security, right?" I'm like, "No, the wedding." So you look, Bill, you look like security.
Take it as a compliment, Jace. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can take someone on.
Yeah, nice.
That's right. I was like, "Yeah, no, the wedding." So yeah, that was cool. Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah. But otherwise, very fun. Very good to celebrate love, and it was a busy weekend.
Nice. Well, let's get into the show. For those joining us for the first time, this is the Movie Magic Show every Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. We chocoheads get together to love, like, bash, and trash the latest the entertainment world has to offer right here on twitch.tv/magic_casts. You can catch you can catch us live here. You can catch all our past episodes on my YouTube channel. Just search Magic Casts, all one word, on YouTube. Thanks for someone cheered bits. Watana, thanks for the bits.
Watana Junior, how you doing, dude?
The bit.
Catch all our past episodes on my YouTube channel. Catch us on Twitter as well. Follow us there at Movie Magic Show. We'll notify you when we're going live and tell you which films we're going to be reviewing. Speaking of films we're going to be reviewing this week, you might have noticed on the bottom of the screen there. We shall be reviewing Pixar's latest effort, Turning Red, and we'll also be diving into my back catalogue, Blade Runner 2049. I caught up on that. Jason Mira was kind enough to lend me his 4K Blu-ray, threw it up on the OLED. It was gorgeous. Looking forward to that. Before we get to those topics, though, we need to set up our end games. These are games we like to play with you at the end of the show. First among them are our movie quotes. We're going to give you 2 quotes. You need to guess which films they're from. I defer to the ear of Jason Mira for movie quote number 1.
All right. I could eat a peach for hours.
I know it immediately.
I know it too. I so know this.
Immediately.
All right. Cool.
Damn.
Yeah.
I hope you got. I think I might need a second quote, but I feel it
I've got a
Feel
second
it
quote for you.
in my
Got a second
loins.
quote.
You know.
I'm completely lost.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool,
Anyway,
cool.
Watana, thanks for the bits again. Thank you, sir.
Oh.
Oh my goodness.
And movie quote number
Settle
2, courtesy of yours truly. Here we go. Sorry, hang on, I gotta bring it up. Here we go.
Yes.
Fact is, the law says you cannot touch, but I think I see a lot of lawbreakers up in this house tonight.
I know this because of a comedian. I haven't seen the. I know what movie it is, and I haven't seen the movie, but I know what it is because a comedian does this bit.
Yeah.
The law says you cannot touch.
No accents, Ben. No spoilers.
I don't think I know this one.
We're doing great,
with
Watana. I hope you're doing well as well. And the other game we like to play is 6 Degrees. We're going to Ben's crying over there. We're going to give you 2 actors. You need to try and link them via actors they've starred alongside. Mr. Movies, who are we connecting tonight?
I wish for you to connect Jake Gyllenhaal to J.K. Simmons twice. I want you to do it once, one way, and I want you to do it again, another way.
Here's Ben over here throwing out the rundown. He's like, Shane, I'm changing the rules of the game. I'm like, okay, sure.
Because it seems really easy. So
I think it is. I think I think
Well,
think it's
we
good to-
can't use the Marvel cinematic stuff, so we can't use him as
No Way Home.
the No Way Home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, no.
Yeah.
Far from home. Far from home.
Apart from
That one. Yeah.
To No Way Home.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Both of them.
No
yeah,
Way
essentially.
Home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on. Mysterio isn't in No Way Home, is he? He doesn't appear at all.
No, but JK doesn't appear in the second one. He only
Right.
appears in the third one.
But he does at the end.
Oh, he does too. Yeah, at the very end.
Yeah, the very, very end.
But we can't use it anyway.
We
But
can't use it anyway. But
I didn't think.
we're
I
saying
didn't
they
think
are in the
Gyllenhaal was
same movie
credited.
in Far From Home.
I didn't think that he was credited with the snippets from the previous movie. Gyllenhaal, that is. I
No,
didn't
but
think
in
he
the
was
second
credited.
one, J.K. Simmons is at the in the post-credit scene.
Yeah, but is he credited in the movie?
I'm on it.
he gets in character and says a line, and he's there for a whole day of shooting. Of course, he's going to be credited in that movie.
Anyway, that's 6 Degrees. We're going to play it at the very end of the show. Before we get to the end of the show, let's get to the start of the show with our first review. It is going to be of Blade Runner 2049, which is a 2017 American neo-noir science fiction film directed by Denis Villeneuve and written by Hampton Fancher and Michael Green. It is a sequel to the 1982 film Blade Runner. The film stars Ryan Gosling and Harrison Ford, with Anna de Armas, Sylvia Hoeks, Robin Wright, Mackenzie Davis, Carla Jury, Lenny James, Dave Bautista, and Jared Leto in supporting roles. Ford and Edward James Olmos reprise their roles from the original film. Gosling plays Kay, a Nexus 9 replicant Blade Runner who uncovers a secret that threatens to destabilize society and the course of civilization. Blade Runner 2049 premiered in Los Angeles on October 3rd, 2017, and was released later that month. The film received acclaim from critics who praised its performances, direction, screenplay, cinematography, editing, musical score, production design, visual effects, and faithfulness to the original film. It was widely considered among the best films of 2017. However, it was a box office disappointment, grossing $259.3 million worldwide against a production budget between $150 and $185 million. Blade Runner
More than broke even, though.
Yeah, but typically the factoring in a marketing budget, you just double the production budget, and that's the entire cost of the film. So it might not have broken
And
even
it's
in cinemas.
almost certainly the reason why we didn't get 2 Dunes back to back.
Yeah,
Potentially,
that's
yeah.
true.
Blade
Because
Runner
they didn't know what
2049,
was
however,
gonna
was nominated for and won several accolades at the 90th Academy Awards. The film won, Best Cinematography and Best Visual Effects, and was nominated for Best Sound Editing, Sound Mixing, and Production Design. A sequel series, Blade Runner 2099, is in development at Amazon Studios, with Ridley Scott set to return as executive producer. I did not know that. The film is enjoyed by audiences and critics alike, for those who actually went and saw it, enjoying an IMDb rating of 8.0 from more than 500,000 users and a Metascore of 81. Rotten Tomatoes, gentlemen, take a stab.
87. Wait. 88.
93.
I almost said 92.
I'm gonna go 85.
I'm glad you didn't say 92. Terry, you nailed it on the head. 88% certified fresh.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Nice. All right.
Nice.
Awesome.
So I hadn't seen this film, so it's on my pile of shame. Went back to it. Well, I mean, a maybe backlog, pile of shame, and it was only out for a few years. But I'm keen to get your thoughts because I've only got a couple of points here, so I'm keen to bounce it around. I'll start with the dulcet tones. Terry, Blade Runner 2049. Tell me about your feelings.
Yeah, I will. My feelings were hurt by this film. I was left feeling sad because it's just like super dark, very similar to the first film in that particular regard. There's a lot of it's hard to.
I mean, it came out 5 years ago. I think
it's hard. No, it's hard to put into words. Is what I'm trying to say. Like you've got characters that have complex needs and desires that are not being met, and it's like all of these questions about what does it mean to be human, what does it mean to be a person, and what does it mean to have autonomy in this kind of very, very futuristic noir setting. It's like cyberpunkish noir in the setting, and it's just kind of devastating. Like, imagine having to have like this existential crisis every time you have a dream, and you're like, wait, does this dream mean that I am a person? Does this dream mean I'm not a person? Am I not actually a person? And like all of those sorts of questions, which very divorced from the book. Like the 2049 is a great sequel to the first movie because the movie raises all of these questions about Harrison Ford's humanity, and these elements about the dreams that he experiences being implanted memories, because he himself is a replicant, avoiding the language of android, which is do androids dream of robotic sheep, the novel upon which the movies are based, or the first movie is based. And this movie does a great job of capturing that same existential crisis where he starts to wonder about whether or not he is an actual person, or whether or not he is indeed a replicant. And that's devastating to kind of go through because he's lonely. He's so lonely. He has this relationship with the virtual holographic kind of assistant, and kind of explores that in a few different ways, which is kind of interesting. It's like it kind of made me think of Her, as the Scarlett Johansson. What was her name? No, the character Samantha. Was it
Samantha?
Sam? Yeah. Exploring the relationship between Samantha and Joaquin Phoenix's character, whose name I also forget, which is irrelevant, but it made me think very strongly of that scene, kind of striving for a real connection between himself and another, and yeah, so that makes this movie kind of devastating. Like, it's not brutal, it's just like really sad to kind of think that a sentient creature, because the question raised about whether or not they're humans or not, or like what value do they have if they aren't humans, it's a valid one, and that's the same question that kind of artificial intelligence begs an answer for as well. Like, is Joaquin Phoenix's relationship in Her any less real for the fact that it's with something that doesn't have a physical, tangible body? And here we have characters that are replicants, they have physical, tangible bodies, but maybe they don't have a soul. And so does that mean that they're not human? Does that mean that they have no inherent value outside of the task for which they've been built to fulfill? And so yeah, that element of this film, both of them, is difficult to contend with somewhat at like an emotional level. Yeah, so I like the film, but it's not a film that I've watched again since my original viewing, just because it does take such an emotional toll. Visually stunning, like phenomenal visuals in the film, and like Ryan Gosling just amazing on screen as well. I love his portrayal of a Blade Runner in the film. Highly effective, kind of ruthless, relentless kind of thing. Even though he has this tension about wanting to be a person, or wanting to have things that real people have, like this kind of Pinocchio, I want to be a real boy struggle. But he's kind of like the perfect example of a replicant. Like, he always comes in for his baseline and he's already at baseline. Like, he never needs the reset of like, where is he at emotionally to make sure that he's actually still useful as a replicant Blade Runner. Yeah, not much more I can kind of say. I don't really... I think as a standalone film within the same universe, this movie didn't necessarily need to have the crossover of the previous characters. It was interesting to see the recreation. I think the character's name was Rachel. I can't really remember. They recreated that character on screen, like, with magic, sorcery, I'm convinced. I know that Corridor Crew did a breakdown of this particular thing, but I haven't watched it because I love the content those guys make, but it kind of, I get a little lost in the weeds when I watch movies after I've seen their stuff. But yeah, really, really visually stunning. Jared Leto's character, really, like, interesting and sinister. But yeah, I don't know. But good. Can recommend. Like the rating system that we have of, like, don't miss it. I'm surprised that this didn't do well at the cinemas. I don't know what was happening at the time. When did you say it came out?
2017.
So, like, well before any of this madness. I just think that yeah, more people ought to have seen this film, because it is very, very good. Yeah. There are some of the scenes that were particularly difficult to watch, like the scene where the flying car that they have kind of crashes into the beach, and there's, like, drowning stuff. That's kind of like I have a bit of a fear of drowning, and Ben won't watch Casino Royale because of Eva Green's drowning scene, and I kind of agree. But there was no emotional investment in the characters to that degree to make me to be completely turned off the movie. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. Must see.
Nice. Mr. Movies, I'll pass it over to you, sir.
Denny did this film with his partner in crime, Joe Walker, who edited it, and he also edited Arrival and Dune. I don't know, there's probably another one in there, probably Prisoners. I actually don't know about that, but, like, chef's kiss. Those two guys just
dynamic
work
duo.
Amazingly together at, like, pacing and rhythm of slow, huge world building films. I don't know if I'd call this a slow burn film or not, but it is a film that's entirely the world. Like, the movie is just, the world building is happening around Gosling's K character. He's not really moving through the movie. The movie's moving around him. And Ryan Gosling is the perfect dumb, blunt object with a pretty face to react to what the movie is doing around him, to cast for this film, and so he's perfectly cast. interlinked. And I remember being literally stunned by the giant naked pink Anadamus as Joy scene, where she's like this humongous, like building
Pink hologram,
building tall, pink hologram, just standing there naked as an advertisement for her software. I loved that whole angle. The whole was it real love if it's artificial? And like so Anadamus plays Joy, who's like the perfect anti-wife, to take a line from Molly's Game. She's like she only appears when you want her to, and she's just obsessed about you, and it's just like she's not a real character. She's not real flesh and blood. She's also not like a real actual sentience of a person that has their own life outside of her owner kind of deal. That's at least the downside of the coin. Like, but then there's like, she really does seem to care about Kay, because she's got like one like action left or whatever, and she'll dedicate it to him. She'll do anything for him, kind of deal, and that's love. So that was kind of interesting how they juxtaposed her. And the answer is like, yeah, that was real. What they had, that was a real connection, kind of deal, on that side of the thing. But then they did something similar for Deckard and tried to like offer him the same satisfaction with a hologram version of Rachel, and he just disregarded it right away. He's just like, she's not real, you're full of shit, I don't want any of that stuff. So that was kind of like a fun dichotomy of the same question that I liked to think about when I watched it the second time. When I was watching it the first time, I was just too dumb to follow anything. When I watched it the first time, to be perfectly honest, I was pretty bored. I came out of there and I was like, all I felt was the fan service. I felt like, that didn't, like what Terry said, that didn't need Harrison Ford in it at all. That just felt pasted on to get the bums in seats kind of deal. I hate fan service in films, and I felt it, the aftertaste of it in my mouth. And so I walked out of 2049. I was like, I didn't like it. I think I disliked it. But then I watched a review of it by some guys that I respect the movie reviews of, and they were like, it's the best. They weren't saying it's like Denny's best movie. They were saying it's the best movie. It's like it's the best movie you could hope for. And so I was like, what are they? I'll rewatch it. And then I tainted as I was, having heard from these guys I respect that it was really great, I quite liked it the second time around. It's one of those movies that you'll probably find YouTube videos from amateur editors and cinematographers and screenplay writers breaking down scenes and saying like, this is why this scene is just cream of the crop when it comes to this technique, or this lesson about how to perfectly cut this kind of montage, or how to perfectly cut this kind of interaction between two opposing forces, or how to perfectly build suspense in a macro setting, and all of that kind of break down the movie to its tiny little pieces and then jerk off to it, or whatever they do. But I don't really watch that kind of stuff. I prefer to be amateuristic and not super learned when it comes to that stuff, which is why, like, to Terry's point again, about the Corridor Crew guys, I've stopped. I don't want to learn anymore. Like, I don't want to be able to go, I can probably tell the kind of how they put that special effect together and how they made that look real. I'd rather just go, wow, that was great. That was amazing.
The best example of that I can think of that really has tainted one of my favorite movies. It's the elevator fight scene for Captain America. The second goon that walks in alongside the guy that ends up with the skull mask, that guy has been on as one of the guests for stunt coordinator dudes in the Corridor Crew, and I can't help but see his stupid face as the guy from corridor crew now, rather than by a goon that maybe tipped his hand a little early. And so yeah, it kind of breaks a bit of the immersion. The movie magic is a bit dispelled to maintain the metaphor by kind of doing that. But there's a place for it. The people that do those technical breakdowns, it's like, it's crazy how kind of on the button they can kind of be, but there's certainly a place for it, and some people love and froth over that type of thing, and it doesn't break immersion for them. It doesn't spoil the experience at all. But I kind of feel like
for some people it's like what they go to a movie for. Like I used to watch a lot of Adam Savage, and he loves props, and he'll go to a movie and just, it's like prop porn, and he'll be like, that, like how they aged that thing to make it look like 1,000 years old. Oh, that's so brilliant. I can't imagine the work they put in to make that sword. It's just so regal and glistening and amazing, and it's an actual real sword that they've used in the stunts and all that kind of stuff. But like, gets it for him, where I'm just like, they're sword fighting now, and this is great. And, I will do, sometimes I'll do like that, like fall or crash, like stunts. I'll go, that was a very painful looking stunt. Like you could tell that was
one
a
would have
stunt
hurt.
guy who they didn't do that in CG. They really, threw him through a thing and or whatever it was. So I do break the immersion sometimes when it comes to that, and sometimes I'll notice when there's like a certain type of camera trick. A long cut, for example, is an easy one to notice. Like, they haven't cut in a while. This is kind of cool. Let's see how long this can go for, kind of deal. Sometimes it's the whole reason to watch a movie, like in 1917. But ideally, it shouldn't be. Ideally, it should be below the periphery level, below the consciousness. It should be something that's just inferred, and it just kind of hits you at a place that's below the language center of your brain, where you can think it through. And
it should be like a great score, right, where you're experiencing it but you don't realize what it's doing for you, sort of thing.
You know what, last week when we talked about the Batman, I shouldn't have sat there thinking about the score, but that's all I could do. I was like, I can't believe they're still using the Something in the Way chord progression, and they've stripped all of this score down to be like that at its core, and I'm just loving this. Like every scene when the score starts, I'm like, there it is again. But I don't know, in that sense, I could put on my nerd cap and enjoy the fact that I'm into that song so much that I've become more than your average expert at Nirvana in the movie here. Most people probably won't notice it, but I did. Anyway, we're coming way off track from Blade Runner. Let's see. I really just wanted to rehash and re-illustrate that the amount of work that they put in really paid off when it comes to the world building of this thing. Like, there's tiny little things, like someone will say like, wow, is that real wood? That looks like so expensive. And it's like a little chip of like a little tiny wood chip or something, a few splinters put together. Meanwhile, this Wallace guy, corporate billionaire guy who probably has a $1 billion, he's living in a city-sized house that's made of wood. Like, it's just unconscionably ridiculous how wealthy he is, and that extra little line just goes that much further to go like, wow, this guy is obviously the most powerful dude ever, and can get away with whatever he wants, and that just goes to the world building again. Although I don't like Jared Leto, and he ruins all the roles he plays now. He's just too much.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to Morbius.
I was just gonna say,
I've seen posters for that.
Yeah,
I can't say I'm gonna be watching it.
there's a film, I can't remember if it was a Netflix original, but it's called Outsider, which I imagine would have a title of Gaikokujin or Gaijin, because it's set in Japan post World War II, and he plays an American soldier in Japan who ends up kind of tied in with a Yakuza family. Brilliant film, and he's great in. But maybe because of like the stuff that happened with Suicide Squad, it's put a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth to see him in superhero movies, because maybe he just doesn't fit the bill the way that somebody else might. But yeah, I don't know. I
Like
might
what
watch
Shane
it.
says, sometimes I can see him acting, and
Mm.
yeah, I always just see Jared Leto. I don't see
The character,
Wallace or whatever his name. Yeah, I never see the character, even when he's as the Joker or whatever. I just see Jared Leto.
I think the only time
Anyway,
I've really
that's
been
my
impressed was Dallas Buyers. I can't recall a lot of that movie, but I just remember being quite impressed with his performance there. Mr. Mira, over to you, sir. You're a big fan of the sci-fi. What did you think of 2049?
So I remember watching Blade Runner in high school, like the original Blade Runner. I hated it.
Yeah. For English.
Yeah,
It's like,
and so
Fiery the Angels Fell. Oh gosh.
yeah. So then afterwards, after high school, I watched Blade Runner again, and I was able to appreciate it as a science fiction film because I grew to really like sci-fi. And then after that, I was like, oh, sure, there's got to be more, you know, sure, Philip K. Dick's written more, and turned out he did write more. They just never published it. So I read through the storylines of what would happen to the sequels of Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, and it was like I had that in my head of like, okay, this is what Deckard does afterwards with Rachel and blah blah blah, all this kind of stuff, and so when I found out that they were doing 2049, I was like, oh, it's going to be really hard to recreate the world that Ridley Scott created in the first one, because like that movie set the tone for cyberpunk, right? Like the aesthetic visually on screen. And you could say that, you know, William Gibson created it aesthetically, like in the novel Neuromancer. So like I remember sitting there in the movies, in the cinemas, like walking out of it thinking that was an awesome, like that was the perfect person to handle that project was Denis Villeneuve. Like the way that he recreated the world was it was perfect. Like the way that how crappy LA looked, it looked gross and muck and whatnot. It looks exactly like LA right now, right? But yeah, the themes that he handled and tackled kind of alluded to the more philosophical undertones that the original film created as well. So yeah, I think it's definitely one that you need to watch. I'm not going to say much more than these other guys have already said as well. I will huge shout out to Roger Deakins as well, who is the cinematographer for this film as well, and his resume also includes Sicario, Prisoners, Skyfall, 1917, True Grit, Company Men, Serious Man, Revolution Road. You know, it's like some really like notable films. Like, and one of the things you'll notice when you're watching, like looking at stills of this film, is just how beautiful it looks. Like the still that you see from the trailer on the IMDb page, just like even just in that, it's like an action shot, but it's like already strikingly like unique, right? So the visual aesthetic of this film is just spot on for like the Blade Runner like universe. One thing I've seen on the internet is like parallels of the tones that Blade Runner has compared to and one of my favorite animes is Cowboy Bebop, and it's definitely reflected in the very last shot as well of K. Directly reflects the last shot of Cowboy Bebop as well. And yeah, like Terry mentioned, like a lot of loneliness and a lot of like, you know, what is real, and that's one of the main themes in Cowboy Bebop as well. And in the last episode, the main character says to one of the characters, "Look into my eyes. You can see that one eye is a different color to the others because one's fake." And I feel like in one eye, I've been looking back. I feel like I'm looking into a dream world, and I can't tell what's real and what's not real. And so I'm going to this place to see, not to die, but to see whether or not I'm alive, which I think is really cool. Like character tones of K as well. You know, like he's doing a lot of things to really like parallel that as well. So I thought that was really cool. Just a special shout out to Ana de Armas. And Mackenzie Davis as well. Just very beautiful creatures of the world.
Mackenzie Davis, she's the one that plays the human soldier sent back in the most recent Terminator.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah, I haven't seen the most recent Terminator. I stopped after.
It's all right. It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not hot garbage. It's
Yeah,
not phenomenal, but
it'll be one of those movies I put
yeah.
on during the day. You know.
Yeah, I think that's literally what I did. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm home today. What am I gonna do? And then I saw it was on one of the streaming services, so I watched it, and
Yeah.
and it was fine.
That's exactly what I'll do. I did that with Sonic the Hedgehog, which, by the way,
Yes,
has made
yeah.
me excited for
The
Sonic the Hedgehog
sequel.
too. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's actually pretty good.
it's fun.
I'll give
It's
it
fun.
Yeah,
Features
stupid
James
fun.
Marsden
It
from the
does.
hit
As in
movie.
the James Marsden.
As in the
Hit-
James Marsden.
Hit 2011 film.
Yeah, that's
2011.
right.
2011's like
Yeah,
hot,
wow.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
so
right.
good.
I don't know the origin of this gag, but I like hearing it.
We try to fit it in there each episode. So yeah, so I'm not gonna go on. Definitely don't miss it. I feel really privileged to be able to have said that I've seen it in this, like, on the big screen. I can't say that for films like The Matrix until very recently. I corrected that, the first Matrix. And I can't say that for Mad Max Fury Road. That was one of the movies I wish I had seen on the big screen.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was
Mm.
pretty good. Not gonna lie, you missed out.
Yeah,
Feel bad, Jason.
thank
Feel
you. Thank you. What I'm really interested to hear Shane's impression, because I remember your impression of the first Blade Runner wasn't too hot, was it?
No, not overly positive on the first one.
No.
Let me get to the positives. For this film, masterful world building. I think that is the crowning achievement of this film. I mean, other than it is absolutely stunning. To your point, Ben, I can't remember whose chat I was in not long ago. But I was in Martin Copping's chat, and I'd just seen the Batman, and we were talking about that. We were talking about the cinematography, and some of our favorite cinematographers. And I'd put like Deakins up there, like Kaminsky does a lot of work with Spielberg up there as well. Who did we say was cinematographer on this one?
Roger Deakins.
Oh, it was Roger Deakins on this one. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So he would totally be up there. I just love like the sci-fi concepts. It is a movie that shows you and doesn't tell you, which I think is so important in a film like this, where it can really fall into the traps of just giving you exposition, which a lot of recent sci-fi films have done in the past. I love the score as well in this. I thought that was like another crowning achievement. It felt like completely otherworldly and ominous, and what I love most about it, and something like even Batman's score dabbled in slightly, was there were moments where I wasn't sure if it was the score or sounds from the world that were happening. And I thought that was brilliant. Like, I wasn't entirely sure, is this a musical track that I'm hearing? Or is this just ambient noise coming from like the machinery in the background of this world? So I thought that was great. You mentioned the casting, Ben. Francine Meisler, the goddess of casting, strikes again.
She's back again.
She's back again. Just if you're not familiar with Francine Meisler, just go look her up, and she'll automatically be the most impressive person in Hollywood. I'll tell you that much.
She's the lightning rod that, like, she just keeps striking. It's like, yeah.
Had
You
she
know
got
how,
figured
like
out Shane?
there's like those fans of like celebrities and A-listers and like the really obsessive ones that would just like find a way to follow that person no matter where they went. I'd be that to Francine if I ever saw her like walking down the street, just like follow her, just sit in the same cafe just to watch her. Anyway,
Your next task, Shane, is to figure out if there's like someone who keeps casting her as the casting director. Like, who's the person responsible for keeping her in the
Who's
movies?
the puppet master? Yeah, who's the real hero here? Anyway, those were all my positive points. And I think I don't have many other thoughts, but all I can say is that I finished the film impressed but not entertained. And maybe it's similar to what you experienced, Ben, on your first viewing, in the sense that I'm just not sure this is the type of sci-fi film for me, where it's mostly about the concepts and the questions and less so about the motivations or the emotional storytelling. I was, in my mind as I was watching it, and maybe it's just the connection with Gosling here, comparing it a lot with his character in Drive. Again, a nameless hero, but and like the story unfolds around him, and it's not really him that you care about, but it's you still have that tether of emotional, like, motivation and something to care about in his connection with what's her name? Is it Carey Mulligan in that one?
Yes.
In Drive as well. So so I think that's the only thing I came away with thinking to myself, I wasn't thrilled by this movie. I wasn't particularly entertained. Like, I don't think the action was particularly cool. I love all the ideas and the way they handled their world building. It was certainly impressive, but I came away just feeling rather bored.
When you came in,
disappointed.
When you came in, were you expecting more action?
Not necessarily, because I'd seen the first one and just understanding Villeneuve's style of filmmaking. What he's known for, he delivered. Just fantastic visuals and ideas and that sort of thing. But yeah, just for me, it was just missing that one thread for me to really care about and really latch onto and be like, okay, what is pulling me along? What is keeping me on the hook, on the edge of my seat, and caring about these characters? And I just don't feel as though anything around the character of Kay really gave me that. So look, a bit disappointed, but I would still recommend it as a film to watch to most people if they enjoy that type of thing. So with that in mind, I'd love to get to the ratings, guys. I might start with you, Ben. What say you, sir? Don't bother, don't rush, or don't miss it.
Well, you won't miss it if you plan to see it eventually. It's fine. So don't rush.
Don't rush. Don't rush. Get around to it. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, go see it, but you're already late, so it doesn't matter if you're if you're a little bit later to the party. Fashionably late.
To you, sir.
I kind of think don't miss. I like the last thought that you shared, or one of the last thoughts you shared about it being compelling but not necessarily entertaining. For me, it was a different type of entertainment. It was like, this made me feel emotional things. And so I suppose that was the goal, rather than it being like Rusty Crowe screaming at the audience, "Are you not entertained?" It's like this was kind of a different type of brutality, and that was kind of the point that it was trying to deliver. So for me, it is don't miss it. Even though I kind of agree, it's not really particularly entertaining. It's just impactful.
Yeah, cool. Mr. Mira.
Don't rush, obviously, because it's definitely a particular niche, right? If you don't like your deep sci-fi, you're not gonna like it. But if you are really into this kind of stuff, chances are you've already seen it. So yeah, if you're definitely watch the first one, and if that's not for you, then don't rush to go see this one.
Yeah, so don't rush for me. Like I said, I can recommend this one to the people who enjoy this type of film. And like I said, certainly impressive. And maybe you'll have a more positive experience than I did. There we go. That is Blade Runner 2049. I will say that one of the first, having only understanding that it was, I knew about Gosling and Harrison Ford, didn't recognize Ana de Armas on the front cover actually of the Blu-ray that you lent to me, Jason. So going in and firstly seeing Batista in the first 5 minutes, I was like, hell's yeah, let's do this. And then Ana de Armas a bit later, I messaged Ben immediately and said, I'm going to read it verbatim because I put it nicely. Let's see here. I messaged Ben and I said, oh no, where was it, Ben? It must have been on Messenger.
You're going to get a lot of Wordle chat.
I was about, oh damn it,
Are you
that's
playing
right.
Wordle? I didn't know that.
Yeah, we share our daily Wordles with each other.
The joy I felt recognizing Ana de Armas' voice in Blade Runner 2049 before she appeared on screen was awesome.
Yeah, I said not knowing about actors starring in films is the best thing, Ben. Yeah. So that's hashtag Fall the Spoil. This is why we don't watch trailers. I don't want to know who's in this movie. I get an immense feeling of joy when I see an actor appear on the screen.
Joy.
Hey, Shadowless Edge
Shadowless
Cameron
Edge.
rating with the party. Thank you, sir. How was your stream?
That person.
Also, thanks to everyone who's joining us in chat and chiming in. I see Maz there. I see Maxi Geek as well. Raph earlier. Happy birthday, Raph! Happy birthday to Raphael. Twiggy as well. I saw you there. Thank you for tuning in.
Twiggy, yes. Twiggy was the originator of the James Marsden thingy.
Right,
I mean, the actual originator, or just the originator within this circle of people?
Originator within the chat. She was
Nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, Blade Runner 2049. I think I watched it on the 4K Blu-ray. It's stunning on the OLED, but I believe it's on Netflix as well. So that is how you can watch it yourself.